So, Airlift to America, which Kennedy started in 1959, I mentioned this in my last video. This is how all the racism started, and what they hate is Americans. That's what it is, and it's very simple. Because I said how Kennedy paid 100,000 because the leader of Africa, I guess, or Kenya, went to the State Department, said, will you let us bring in 800 African students to go to your most Ivy League colleges here? And they said no. So then they went to Kennedy, who was a senator, and he said, sure, I'll do it. And he paid for the first 2 flights. Just happens to be that Barack Obama's dad was on the second flight. Yeah. But he paid 100,000 out of the Kennedy Foundation. Think of what that 100,000 could have done for the black people in the poor neighborhoods so that they could have gotten higher education. Yet the people that got around and supported it, and nobody knows who initially was the funder of that program, and they try to make it seem like, no, the black community supported it. No, the only black Americans that supported it were the ones that were already in the colleges, that were already getting higher educated. The black community, however, was not happy. For good reason. I would be unhappy too. But then a lot of black people back then do not feel that Kennedy did much. And I think that's a smack in people's face, but it's not because you're black, because he was fine bringing all the black students here, and he did it for a couple years, and then the State Department just took it over. So you see how this is the same problem that's going on right now. In Chicago, the people have been raising hell with the officials, like, look at what all these illegal aliens coming in, you're screwing us over. Yes, because it's about screwing the Americans over. Whenever they try to divide black and white, like the nursing profession did, the people at the top, they did. All the medical profession did. Every hospital, the hospital associations, they all, in Illinois they did, I think it was across the land, that they all came out and said systemic racism is the #1 health crisis. It shows what they hate. They are the systemic problem, and what they hate is Americans. Because Kennedy had no problem bringing black people here. He just didn't want to give that opportunity to black Americans. So when they end up dividing, all it takes is a police officer, white police officer, a black person, and then the media will do their job to run that 24 hours, okay, over and over again, get everybody enraged. The next thing you know, you got BLM, which was George Soros paid. They weren't grassroots, okay? You get them out there, then they're all summer of 2020 burning cities down, burning black people's businesses down. I mean, they didn't care what they destroyed because it's all part of the globalist agenda. They've done this to America over and over again. Don't fall into this trap anymore. Because what they hate is Americans. It has nothing to do with skin. They hate Americans. So this was how the black community felt about Airlift to America. However, others in the African American community felt that the program was unfair and that it prioritized foreign students over their own community. Yeah, same thing going on now. They argued that African Americans were facing significant barriers to education and economic opportunity in the United States, and that Kennedy's airlift was diverting resources away from these domestic issues. Yeah. It was his own money. And then the State Department picked it up after that because they're like, well, Kennedy's doing it, so we'll just take it over. So it's the very same thing. So it's sadly, and that's why they have to keep black and white divided. And so before Obama came in, the black-white kind of stuff was dying. Like, most average American, like we don't have time to worry about that shit, honestly. We just don't. Everybody's, got their own worries going on. So, but they needed to keep that division because they've always done it in America. And now we have the nursing profession doing it at the top. That's the reason why those people should be disgraced and called out. Because I'll tell you, the systemic problem, what it is hating Americans. That is the systemic problem. Because they're fine dividing the whites from the blacks, keeping everybody at war, because what they hate is Americans. It has nothing to do with color. So when the nursing profession, hospital associations, all the medical professions, all the hospitals, all those people at the top, all those politicians, all those news media that did all that bullshit, and they've done it all through the history of America, realize they hate America. It's not about skin color. It's about hating you because you're an American. So this is just like, remember, or some people may remember, I was living in Chicago at the time, I believe, when Oprah decided, oh, I'm going to build a school. Where am I going to build the school? And she told Chicago, she said, I'm not going to build my school here. These kids don't act right. Yeah, she pissed, everybody was like, fuck you, Oprah. And where did she take her school? To Africa. So for whatever, it's because they're not Americans. That's why. It's the Americans they hate. That's what it is. So the people that tried to rally this program so that the community would get on board with it, but much of the black community didn't, was Harry Belafonte, Martin Luther King, Sidney Poitier. Those, for those that don't know or are too young, Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte were actors. Same thing they do now. Get the actors out to support this. Yeah. But no, there were enough people that saw that Kennedy was, basically giving enough view to the black Americans. So I kind of get why when I've come across some of those Americans that are born here that don't consider themselves African because they weren't born in Africa. Not that there's anything wrong with being African American, but yet, the past many years it's been like that's across the board. They're African American. That was the politically correct thing to say, right? But then I've come across those videos where they get mad and they're like, no, I'm a black American. I was born here. So I kind of get that too. Like, not that they have anything against Africa, but do you see, like, there's a difference here. So all of those people, your, Rainbow Push, your Jesse Jacksons, all them damn people, okay, that carry on that they're about the black cause. No, all of them. Your nurse, top of your nursing, medical science, all of these people that have been pushing systemic racism, no, they hate Americans. There's not a systemic race problem. There wasn't anyway. All they have to do, white cop, black, go at it, and then all they do is run it over and over again, and then it's gonna naturally get people pissed off. But they do it purposely for that reason, because it's the perfect way to deflect off of the very people that actually what they hate is both the whites and the blacks. They hate the Americans, so they love seeing them go at it. And while the most highest of educated continue to push the systemic racist bullshit, and the left and AOC realize who they serve. They serve globalists. It's always been the globalists, okay? The globalists are the ones that brought you in chains on the ship. They were the ones that were holding white people captive as well, okay? They're the ones that get into these leadership positions. They say they're on your side, okay? And Trump's the exception to that, which I think is why Trump said, it doesn't matter what color you are, we all bleed the same red blood. I think he knows that it's about screwing the Americans over. Because other leaders have done. It's just like watching Biden send all our money to Ukraine. Okay, that's your money. They could be helping you. But just like they didn't want to help the black community, Kennedy could have used his $100,000, given it to the black community. That could have done so much. No, they don't. They want to keep those neighborhoods poor. Yeah, Trump's not going to keep them poor anymore because there's an easy way to fix all that. But they always needed to keep this division and this class system kind of, keep some people poor, because the globalists can't let you realize that what they really are racist against is Americans. We've all been played. So I don't know if that puts it together for you. But Kennedy, who was seen as this great president, he didn't have anything against blacks. He just didn't want to do anything for blacks that were Americans. And really not much for white Americans either. They hate Americans. Trust me, they do. There is no war between black and white. So every time you hear any of your higher educated carry on about systemic racism, just realize in your mind, no, they're the racist, and what they are racist and what they hate, because they're socialists, is they hate Americans, black, whites, all of you.